Oi, what's the best game where you get to eat pie? What's the best game where you play a dead guy? Aye, you'll find out in VG247's podcast. Here, what's the best game where you swing from a rope? And what's the best game where you batter the Pope? Assassin's Creed 2. Like I said, you will find out in this your podcast. Hello and welcome to VG247's Best Games Ever podcast, where we attempt to find the best game within a specific category. For example, this week we're looking for the best Easter game, because I got goaded into it once again last week, and we're doing it at a really weird point in the year. And it's also an interesting question: what constitutes an Easter game? You could go for the religious angle. For example, the game I Am Jesus Christ, in which you play Jesus Christ. It's a real thing. You can go and play the demo on Steam. And you get to do miracles and stuff as Jesus Christ from his early life right up until the resurrection. So that's very fitting. It could be any game that's tangentially related to fertility or bunnies, like PS1 strip poker. That joke's not going to land. Could it be anything involving eggs, like Cooking Mama, Fantasy World Dizzy, or Chucky Egg, the classic 1983 platformer on the ZX Spectrum? Who knows? Speaking of things that are ancient, rigid, plagued by poor build quality, and largely forgotten by the wider industry, I'm joined today by Tom Orry. How are you doing, Tom?
Hello. I didn't like the Spectrum. I thought it was rubbish.
Yeah, it makes it all the...
Chucky Egg, also rubbish.
Makes it all the more better that I've compared you to it then, doesn't it?
Dizzy, all rubbish. All the egg games are terrible.
They are, actually.
That Jesus game you mentioned,
yeah.
What do you do when you're playing as Jesus when he's dead? Between when he dies and he comes back?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's in early access, isn't it? So
do you like just sit there staring at the screen?
Just sit there pretending to be dead until...
pretending. That's not the point. He is dead.
He was dead. That's the... Yeah.
Yeah. But he wasn't, though, was he?
Someone bloody doing DI... Someone, like, doing some renovations.
Yeah.
Jesus, he's heard you talking shit. He's here to do it.
He's getting down off the cross himself with the claw hammer. All right, we're also joined by Connor and Kelsey. Like, you guys seem to be like the default team for this podcast, because everyone else hates doing it.
Yeah.
I think Tom hates doing it as well, to be fair. But okay, so yeah, we're looking for the best Easter game. I don't know how many of these are going to be egg themed. I don't know how. Like, what is an Easter game? Let's explore that. Tom, what have you got for us first?
Well, I kind of regretted even mentioning the Easter thing. I thought it was a little joke, Jim, at the end of the last podcast.
Yeah, but you've got to learn, Tom, that I've got something wrong with my brain.
It's a Christmas game.
It is
actually. It? Why though? Christmas is the next big event, and then Easter. It's so far off. Like, Easter's just, in my mind, Easter was like last week.
Well, the next big event's Halloween, so you're wrong about that, I know.
That's not a big event, is it?
Yes,
Come on. It's a big event if you're American or a under 23-year-old in the UK who goes out to parties.
You could argue it's more important than, like, Easter is these days.
Is it, though?
Yeah,
in popular culture, you kind of could, right?
I get holiday at Easter. Do you get any holiday over Halloween?
No.
I might book some off.
Fine, you book it off, Connor. Go and enjoy your Halloween party.
I'd love to see Connor trick or treat.
Dressed as, like, trying to think, Reptile from Mortal Kombat.
Well, that's the problem. At this age, you don't really even go all out. You kind of just, like, hang around in, like, hoodies and jeans.
Yeah,
and
it's
just have
like...
a nice social, right? You don't even really dress up.
It's not even about Halloween.
Dress up at this age, yeah.
You should.
It's sad to dress up unless, like, you do a really, really good costume. Otherwise, everyone's taking the piss out of you.
Yeah.
If you get into kids YouTube like I am at the moment, where you just watch children doing things like opening presents and looking at toys, because that's what kids like watching. There's a really catchy Halloween song that a few people do, where someone, usually the mum or the dad or the sister or someone, dresses up in something and go, look, I'm a ghost, and then they actually reveal to themselves, no, it's just me, the person that you know. I haven't sung it deliberately, and you're not getting the full effect of how good it is.
Isn't that the entire plot to Scooby-Doo?
It is, now you say it, it is very similar to Scooby-Doo.
I thought you were talking about Scooby-Doo for
a minute. But basically, someone comes in behind these kids, and they're dressed as like a vampire, and they go, ooh, and they run around the house, and they scare them, and they go, no, look, it's just me, your mum.
We completely lost the thread now.
Yeah. So Easter games. I was trying to think. I've got a really good story to tell about Lidl, which I forgot to tell.
Right.
I can't figure out when the best time to tell it is.
Okay.
Lidl.
So you're gonna do it now?
So one Easter, I was in Lidl.
Right. Okay.
It definitely happened at Easter, right? And I was looking for some chocolate eggs, or what if they had any special Easter bakery products, like I don't know, egg-shaped croissants. I don't know what they would do, right? Something Easter related. Okay. I was there looking at the bakery section. I wasn't going to buy anything really because I'm good and don't buy loads of pastries. But as I was walking past, I heard someone say, right, just do the poo. Do the poo, right? I was like, what? And I looked around and there was a mother and her child who was probably maybe two-ish aged. And the mum just got from somewhere a potty, right? And I placed it right next to the pastries, the open to the world pastries in Lidl. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lidl, but you basically just walk up to it and just grab anything you want. There's no shielding the pastries from anything.
Yeah, it's
and
very continental.
This child then proceeded to sit on the potty and do a poo right next to the pastries, right? And I was like, "What is going?" I probably said "what the fuck" out loud. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
No, that's fair.
I could not believe it, and I looked around as if has anyone else seen this happening? Like, am I imagining this?
This is in Britain. You're lucky someone wasn't causing a scene.
The real odd,
outside of that.
Was it just you? Like, was it just you?
I was probably in there quite early because I sometimes go and grab a few essentials after I've done the school run in the morning, right? So it's about 8:35, something like that. Not many people in Lidl at that time. But then I looked around and was like, is no one witnessing this? Is anyone going to do anything about it? But then the odd thing is that the bakery section in this Lidl is literally like 5 meters from the door. They could have gone outside and done it. And also, they did it in front of the door to the toilet.
Yes.
So they could have just gone into the toilet and done it, right? So hopefully no one bought pastries from Lidl that day.
Yeah,
that event for Easter Day.
I take it you didn't risk it after that.
No chance.
That's awful.
I'm sure you have told that story before. Maybe not on the podcast, but
this
definitely
was definitely an Easter. 100% happened at Easter because it's relevant to this podcast, right?
Yeah.
And all the Easter goods were out. Anyway, my pick for best Easter game is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island on the SNES.
Oh,
that's a good one. Why? Is it because
there's
there's
not much to
eggs
say
involved?
about it, other than it's one of the best 2D platformers of all time, possibly the best one.
Do you remember, cast your mind back about roughly 7 days ago when Tom sat in that very chair and said that the 2D Mario games were shite? Did anyone else remember that?
Super Mario Odyssey was the best Mario game.
The Yoshi one is an aside. It's like a slightly different experience to the normal. Most 2D Mario games look horrible. Right? This doesn't. This has its own art style. It looks completely different to all the other Mario games.
That's true.
And it's got Yoshi in it. And it's got eggs. Right? And it has a more, compared to other Mario games, it's got a slightly, it feels like it's been sort of more love has been put into the creation of it. All of it looks like it's been deliberately put there. Whereas some of the more modern 2D Marios, they feel a bit like they've been made in some kind of quite crude level creator, particularly the ones that are like, is it New Super Mario World or whatever it's called? The ones that don't have the art style I just find quite ugly. This, no one could call this ugly. It looks amazing. Has a bigger sense of like exploration than some of the other Mario games do. There's more like figuring out like stuff in the world and like secrets and stuff. And it's just more charming. Like it looks lovely. And it has eggs. There you go.
Are they chocolate eggs?
They're not chocolate eggs. They are eggs for like Yoshi's.
Duck the point for that then, I'm afraid.
Easter is not about chocolate eggs.
It's about
it
has
rebirth.
been since the mid-80s.
I mean, it is for me as well, but I'm trying to make a point that it's about eggs generally and what they.
You're not going to come over all religious on us, Tom. You're not going to be like,
I'm not at all religious. But for this instance, and for what it symbolises, I think this has to win.
Okay,
it's interesting for sure because it is a good game, right? It is for sure a good game.
Do you play? You play Mario as a child, right? As a baby. Is that the one I'm thinking
I think
of?
that's Baby Mario. I can't remember if that's in. Is this one?
Don't you ride around Yoshi as Baby Mario? Or am I?
I mean, it may well be. To be honest, I've lost track of exactly everything in this game, apart from like I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's the fact that like Yoshi can disappear and then reemerge in the game from an egg, and
it is. I think it is Baby Mario, right?
Yeah.
Canonically,
it's the same Yoshi, so you could argue that that's the resurrection, right?
You could, but is that spelled out specifically in game? Is that a resurrection?
They don't spell
He's
it out
also Italian, so it's clearly a Catholic angle.
Exactly. I mean, do you know what?
Just give it.
He's
it's got the win, right?
You there, Tom, because that is right. The Italian angle does lend some credence to actual. Catholic resurrection.
So just to be clear, you're submitting Super Mario Brothers to Yoshi's Island on the basis that it's Catholicism coded.
Yes, if that gets me the win.
Right, okay. It's clearly the most Catholic Mario. All right, okay. All right, let's move swiftly on from that. Kelsey, what have you got for us?
So my pick for best Easter game is a game called Murder House, which I love very dearly.
I knew it'd be something horrendous like this.
Yeah, it is. It is very horrific. Not for the lighthearted, I guess. And it's an indie game, and it's in the whole PS1 style. Loads of polygons. Hails back to like the VHS era, and the main antagonist in this game is the Easter Ripper, which is it starts out with you get a picture at the mall at a photo booth with the Easter Bunny, and then it becomes very clear that this Easter Bunny is in fact a serial killer that is killing children in this mall. Anyway, he gets caught, and then you are put into the shoes of this TV crew that are going to this abandoned house which once belonged to him to basically, just film something interesting, except of course it all goes wrong, and it very much follows all those slasher tropes where you're being stalked around this house by the Easter Bunny who's wielding a shovel and trying to kill you. And I just think it's brilliant. It's one of those, it makes me really happy to see that there's developers still out there making games like this that are of such a high quality. Because obviously I'm a huge Silent Hill fan, so I love games where it is like, you have this dolly camera, you have all these tank controls. It's difficult, but yeah. That's my pick.
No, you might have found the only explicitly Easter game as well.
As soon as you said Easter game, this was the first thing I thought of, because I was like, this is going to be perfect.
It looks great as well. Just had a look at the Steam page, and it's the PS1 horror. Just what is it about the PS1 style that just suits horror? It just looks just uncanny valley enough, I guess.
There's a whole community of people who just love making games in this sort of style because it's brilliant, right? It just fits that sort of look.
Yeah, this particular developer, he obviously develops his own games, but he's also a publisher now, so he's helping other people like himself to develop and bring out games just like this. Mm-hmm. And they're all, follow the same sort of shtick, like that whole, it's a slasher story for the most part. But I think there's something about the tank controls and just how kind of difficult it is to get to grips with what you're actually doing and where you're meant to go that makes these games so good. And plus the technical limitations there as well. But yeah. Yeah. I'm glad there's still a lot of games like this, and I'm glad they're still being made. There's no shortage of weird little horror games.
I like how the tank controls thing. I like when you're fighting against the game itself just on a mechanical level, it is way more tense that way. Resident Evil 4 is great, but because it's just easier to look around and shoot stuff, it's not quite as tense as the first Resident Evil. Because it's just a different vibe entirely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. Okay.
Looks horrendous. I've just seen a screenshot of it, and there's a child or someone sat on a chair, it's like Christmas or something, sat with Father Christmas, but it's actually the Easter Bunny murder thing.
It is basically they've swapped out Santa for the Easter Bunny, but it works.
That's terrifying, though.
It is terrifying just seeing this man in a bunny suit come chasing down a corridor.
Not to dredge up decades-old horror game, internet argument drama, but does the bad controls and tank controls make games scary, or do they make them frustrating and horrible?
It depends what game you're playing.
Because Resident Evil is scary because of the great music and the setting and how they time stuff. You get these like angles, and then like the zombies will walk towards you from like this like long walk up, and it's kind of spooky. But like the fact that it's hard to turn left and right doesn't really make it scary. I mean, it makes it bad.
You get that in this game with the music, and obviously it's hard to explain, but in certain chase scenes and stuff, the camera changes entirely just to make it more suspenseful. And it is like the controls can be a pain in the arse. And I think with some games, if the story and everything else just isn't there, it is frustrating. But if not, I think it actually adds to it a lot. Like, it's supposed to be challenging.
Okay.
And yeah, I think without them, they'd sort of be at a detriment. There's less of that challenge there. Like, doing those like chase scenes is easier and therefore less scary. I don't know. You can argue both sides.
Apparently, it's the spiritual successor to Babysitter Bloodbath.
Yeah, that's
sick.
Yeah, that's
classic.
There's a lot of topics of infanticide. No comment. No comment.
Classic Kelsey games. Before we move on, I just want we've got a little bit of sponsorship to do, so I am sorry about this. And I haven't cleared this with you, Tom, but I'm sure it'll be okay.
This is going to be terrible, isn't it?
If you're considering an Easter gift for somebody and you're not sure what to get them, why not consider Fighting Ireland?
No, put that down. No, seriously, put that down. Put that down. Put that down. No, I'm too... I don't have... Okay.
Is that available in no good bookstores?
It's available on Amazon.
It's literally available in no bookstores. Look.
Yeah. I got it from Amazon, and
you want a moment of real sincerity? Here you go. I tried my best on that book. I really did.
It's really good. Fighting Ireland, which I mean, I was going to make a joke about how it's an instruction manual for loyalist paramilitary groups, but I can't make that joke now because it feels like the moment's gone. All right, okay, moving on. Connor, what have you got for us?
You know, as some people
now
can
that you're a bit like
tell,
a rabbit in headlights.
Yeah. As some people can probably tell. I'm quite tired, and it's not because of any other reason. It's because I couldn't sleep. I was just stuck up all night, filled with the spirit of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Now, I've seen some very, there's been some very clever, some very smart suggestions this podcast, all of which I notice seem to be avoiding, the obvious, source of Easter, which is...
Have you actually picked anything, Connor? Are you currently Googling?
I am currently telling you my pick, So it has to have, here's the facts. It has to have Jesus in it, and it has to have resurrection in it, and the chocolate and the Easter bunny are all sort of like modern day, spins on it that I don't quite vibe with, which is why my game is called Fight of Gods. In Fight of Gods, and this is the entire reason why I've played it. And in this like 1 or 2 second roundup, you're going to see it's got way more Easter energy than any of these other games. In this game, you can play as Jesus Christ. And not only does his round start animation have him literally ripping himself off the cross back alive, his super has him ascend to heaven in a big beam of golden energy. And in between those two bits, he's like smacking you around with the wooden bits he's pulled off the crucifix. It is not only genuinely a surprisingly really good fighting game. The developers of this made another game called Fight of Animals that had a brief moment in the sunlight during this period of time where all the online fighting games were kind of bad, and they came along and was like, "Oh, look, it's a weird looking, animal video game. Oh, but the online's really good, and the game's actually surprisingly really fun." So that was like a sleeper hit for a bit among its like small crowd.
How much of a sleeper hit was it? How many people played it?
Like 50 people played it.
It was on PS4.
It was on PS4. Fight of Gods is the same sort of thing. Great online, surprisingly really fun, surprisingly really good. Just a good laugh to play, and it has literally Jesus Christ in it.
Does it have fatalities?
I don't believe so. I think it goes
does
against
Jesus
the Bible.
nail his enemies back onto the cross?
No, I think Tom, he forgives them, and he shows love and mercy to those he fights against, and then he ascends to heaven.
Jesus versus Buddha. I love it. Santa's in it as well.
Yeah.
Santa is in it.
You could have done it last week.
I could have done it last week, and I'm so happy I didn't, because I can't speak for the other two here, but it's way harder to find an Easter game than a Christmas one.
Yeah,
it's just way harder. It's like
your one has just got Jesus in it, right? That's the only.
What's Easter about?
What themes does it have?
What's Easter about?
Eastery.
Jesus
Eggs.
Christ and resurrection.
Easter is about eggs. Go to any
Easter
supermarket
is not about eggs.
From January onwards.
Yeah.
There are two. Okay, there are two Easters, right? There's the, consumerist Easter, where you just buy eggs and chocolate and have a good time and smile and stuff, which, it's fine if you're into that. And then there's, Jesus Christ, Bible time, Easter, which is about Jesus Christ coming from the dead and going to heaven. When these topics are so expertly created by Jim, he leaves room for this sort of, navigation, this sort of like mind palace.
I heard that Jim's hosting ability has been questioned
by who?
By some fans.
Oh, fans.
Oh,
okay.
by the president of the fucking Tom Ori fan club, a guy called Kerry.
Who?
In our YouTube comments, who's probably going to love the fact that we're mentioning them.
Listen, Kerry, get down to church right now. Okay.
Every week, they're the vanguard of the Tom Ori was robbed movement. Every single week, and last week they were like, "I'm starting to dislike Jim's hosting ability." That was what they said last week. Wasn't it?
Last week was entirely valid. I was beginning to doubt you as well. So
there is
I side with Kerry on this one.
There is a point when you have to side with people that sometimes say harsh things when they're correct. And last week, Jim, usually your hosting is impeccable, right? It sometimes happens a bit late, but it's usually, when it happens, it's very good.
Okay.
But then it seemed to me that you just chose Connor's choice. What was it? WoW again, right? It was WoW again.
Yeah. World of Warcraft,
just because you thought that the other game was just because I picked something good.
I think he picked WoW because it had literally Christmas in it, just like he should.
I mean, this was the point.
He should pick Fight of Gods because it literally has Jesus resurrecting in it,
which is the
hasty. Point of Easter.
Does he resurrect though?
He literally pulls himself off the cross from
because I'm watching
death.
These trailers and I'm like,
is he dead on the cross?
This
or not?
is just a game with Jesus in it. There's no Easter to this.
When he's crucified, he's weak in all sorts of films and the book. You see him weak. He's like, "Oh, you'll come with me to heaven. It's all fine. Don't worry about it, fam."
Is there any boulder rolling out like from the cave and then they go in?
Yeah, does he roll the boulder onto someone and kill them?
This seems like the timeline where he just broke the crucifix.
This is a timeline when he dies on the cross. He's very weak on the cross and filled with the spirit of his father, right? God.
Leathering people with bits of the cross is not in the scripture.
People, rips the bits of the crucifix off. Right?
Is Resident Evil 5 about Easter when he smashes the boulder?
Yeah.
Well, no.
In the lava. Is that an Easter? Is that a reference to Easter?
I don't know, but you could have picked it.
No, but it is.
Would that win, Jim?
I love this now. Anything with boulders in it is an Easter game. Fucking Starfield.
Chuck Rock.
More boulders per square inch.
I'm sure there's a 2,000 word opinion piece on why Resident Evil 5 is secretly a Christian
propaganda piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well,
right, play the jingle.
Oh no. All right. can't even stand to fucking hear it myself anymore.
It makes no sense, does it? It makes actually. Why do we play a jingle about Jim? It's not about that, is
Because
it?
I've got to pick something. It's because this bit of the podcast is meant to be about me.
It just
So it
serves your
would
own
be if you
ego.
keep interrupting. The baby started crying when that jingle came on for real. Right. Okay. All right. Right. We got 3 great picks here. Right. I'm gonna like my category for this is gonna be how genuinely Eastery is it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tom, great game. Not Eastery at all. It's just got eggs in it. It's nothing to do with Easter. It's just eggs.
Right. I hope you're not going to say that a murderer dressed as a bunny is Eastery.
Well, let me get to it. Connor, love the choice, but it's not Eastery, is it? Because it's about Jesus battering Buddha with bits of wood.
Of Jesus. Are you gonna argue that Easter is about consuming chocolate eggs? Aren't you?
No, I'm not gonna argue that at all. The only Easter-themed video game, genuinely Easter-themed video game that I have ever been made aware of in my life happened today on this recording, and it is Kelsey's Choice.
That's unreal.
Is it Easter themed?
It's not Easter themed.
Yes, it is Easter themed. It's all about the Easter Ripper.
No.
The first portion of the game is set on Easter.
It's all about horror, VHS aesthetic. That's
I feel
what
like
the
if
theme
anything,
is.
it's an
The fact that it's a
anti-Easter
bunny
game.
suit is meant to play into the
Anti-Easter.
consumerist angle.
It's
I
like
forgot to
saying-
mention as well, when they're exploring the house, this news crew, they find a note, right, which tells them that they're taking part in an egg hunt. What they don't realise is that they're the eggs and they're being hunted.
So much Easter
very
spirit is
Easter-y.
alive and well in that game, isn't it, Connor? The Easter
It's just
spirit.
so wild. There's no
bursting
Easter
out of
spirit
it.
there. The fact is that they could have picked anything cute. It's not based on Easter. It's based on horror schlock film where some guy dressed in something cute and
Yeah, but
it could have easily been anything.
of all the themes that this one developer could have gone for, they
Yeah.
chose the Easter Bunny.
I bet
No,
they've got-
inherently
I bet they-
makes
went
it
for
a game about
Splatterhouse
Easter.
murder film.
Is
Which
there one that's-
cool. I
is there
love
a
that,
Christmas
but-
version of this game? Is there a Christmas version? Do they
I
just
don't know. I
reskin
have
the
seen
bunny?
memes with Christmas hats, but no, I don't think
Jim
so.
Trinker, goes off so much about, I hate society, I hate this capitalist society I'm in. Immediately picks the most aesthetically consumerist
I do say that.
interpretation of Easter in this podcast he possibly could. Fake bitch.
All right. There's nothing in Fight of Gods about the resurrection.
There's
Absolutely nothing.
literally the resurrection of Christ.
Connor, I hate to break it to you, but he doesn't resurrect. He's still attached to the cross.
No, he isn't. He's dead on the cross, and then
The
he
art for the
resurrects, and then
game
he
shows him still attached to
literally
it.
pulls himself off the cross, and he
Yeah, so would
literally
you argue he
rises
dies
to
if he's
heaven.
pulling himself off it?
All right, there's no fertility symbols in it. If we're gonna go, we could just
Symbolism
pivot
isn't
entirely.
it. It's about
no,
the
we could
it's about
pivot
the
entirely,
spirit of Jesus Christ.
but we could pivot entirely and talk about how the Christian celebration of Easter is a co-opted pagan
Well, can we give it to
fertility
Yoshi then?
festival. No, we can't give it to Yoshi because
Was it
not?
called Easter? Was it called Easter when it was a pagan festival? Or was it called something else?
I'm pretty sure it was. Listen, I can't remember. Right?
Of course not.
But listen, I'd have to look it up, and it would take ages.
Sabotage me from my book. I'm going to have to resurrect myself after the heart attack
You
you
won
gave me,
last week.
pulling
Stop
my
complaining.
book.
You
in
won
this-
last week at great personal cost to my reputation. might I
I'm
add.
a great personal
Right?
cost. I'm the one who had to play WoW. A great personal cost to me in my time.
Tom's one fan was really upset with me last week, and that stayed with me all week.
Tom has
Right.
tons of fans. All the suits who listen to this podcast, they love it when he wins.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but look, Murder House is the only one that has the Easter Bunny in it. The Easter Bunny being the classic pagan fertility symbol because bunnies do a lot of shagging, right?
The Easter
So-
Bunny isn't the symbol. The Easter
It-
Bunny is a symbol of the market
Right.
around it.
The
because you
bunny's
wanna buy
association with
eggs.
Easter predates Jesus
The
Christ's
bunny was
association with it.
created by Dairy Milk and Cadbury's.
Unbelievable. That's not true at all. That's
It literally is.
horseshit, Tom.
They've literally taken this pagan symbol, they co-opted it to sell Easter eggs and
I'm doing
murder.
it. Right.
Yeah,
Ancient pagan celebration of the spring
go and close
equinox.
all your tabs on the Roman battlements and
I'm not
politics.
even on Wikipedia. I'm on Britannica.
Oh,
right. So, right. I'm not right. Right. I'm not going to read a Britannica article. Actually, look.
do it.
Look. No, I'm not doing it.
Is it because you started reading it and it said you were wrong, and you said I'm not going to read it now?
No, it's just a bit wordy, and I think it will be here forever.
It is Britannica.
Right. Look. Right. I'm gonna cut the next episode we record that you're in. I'm gonna go away and do some research, and then next time we're gonna kick off with a big correction or. Correction? That's not the wrong word. We're gonna have a big addendum to this episode because I feel like my integrity is being attacked here. All right, Murder House is the best Easter game because it's got the Easter Bunny in it, and it's the only game set in and around Easter where Easter is crucial to the plot. There we go. So Kelsey's won again.
Have you played? I mean, this is a game I think you would have played because it looks good.
Yes,
and it's
I've played it, Connor.
Cool. Okay, that's fine.
I've played it twice.
No, that's cool.
Just to spite you.
I mean, it looks good.
Plays it every Easter. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. I think we all need to go and cool off.
What we're doing next week? What's next week's topic?
Next week's podcast? So we can also do research in the next few
Next week's podcast is the best Cyberpunk game that isn't Cyberpunk 2077. So
I'm very excited.
You've all got wonderful suggestions about that, no doubt. And nobody's going to bring my integrity into question or the religious practices of the ancient world. As far as VG 24/7 is concerned, I am the fucking authority on. Right. Thank you for listening. Please leave us a 5-star review, even though we clearly don't deserve it. And we'll see you next week for the best Cyberpunk game that isn't Cyberpunk 2077. To tie in with Cyberpunk 2077, the Phantom Pain? Is it the Phantom? No, that's Metal Gear Solid. What is it again? Phantom Liberty.
You've been talking about your integrity, and then you just got that completely wrong.
It's been a long day.
It has been a really long day, to be fair.
I've got a 12-week-old baby in the other room. I am fucking knackered, right? So, like, Phantom... It's not Phantom Pain, Phantom Liberty, right? It's tying in with that. It's... there's probably better Cyberpunk games than in fact there's definitely better Cyberpunk games than Cyberpunk, so let's go and have a good think about them. All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you everyone. Thanks Jim. Thanks everyone.
Bye.